Hello, Ham Radio's own YouTube channel. This is Adam Dye, call sign N4NT, and this video is about our W4B Bristol Rhythm and Roots Reunion special event station. This video is being made from the perspective or for the benefit of those not so much familiar with the hobby of ham radio. So if you're a ham radio operator and you come across this video and you're not as familiar with special event stations either, this may be beneficial for you. So, as ham radio operators, a lot of us, most of us, are very community oriented, and the reason I say that is ham radio as a hobby. We are prepared for emergency communications. We can set up our stations using battery power and just some radios and a piece of wire and a tree, and we can get communications out if a disaster hits, like a tornado or a hurricane, depending on where you're at, that kind of thing. And we take a lot of pride in that service to our community. We may be rarely used, but we are there if needed. And the rest of the days of the year, we are practicing this as a hobby, just kind of doing this for fun. So the FCC issues call signs to amateur radio operators. As you can, if you can see the little pointer here, my call sign. I'm the manager of this page. My call sign is N4NT, and these call signs have a pattern or a purpose or a set of rules as to how they are formatted and so forth. And I won't go into every little detail of that, but just like your radio station, WBCM, the W is going to be in front of all the radio stations east of the Mississippi, and then the BCM is something that you've picked out to stand for what your organization is. Ham radio operators are given call signs that are issued sequentially, but then we can turn around and ask for a call sign that's a little more personalized, but it still has to meet a format. So what the FCC will do is they do not issue what we call one-by-one call signs on a regular basis. And a one-by-one, if you can see where I'm pointing right here, like W4B, the 4 signifies the geographical location in the United States, and then of course the W is a standard U.S. call sign, and then of course we go with the B for Bristol. They don't issue these one-by-one call signs out to anybody every day. There's a limited number of them, of course, so they have reserved these just for special events. And what that does as a ham radio operator, if I'm on the airwaves trying to make contacts with different stations and I see or hear one of those call signs, that tells me that is a unique special event call sign. That's something that is not on the air every day, and something that I want to make a contact with, potentially get a postcard from, or we even send out these what we call them QSL cards, but these postcards that we use to confirm contacts. We send out paper versions still, the old traditional style. We also send these electronically. Everybody that makes a contact with this station will get an electronic postcard that looks just like the paper postcard, and it has the event information on it and website and all that. So this page that I have brought up here on the screen right now, this is it's called QRZ.com, and this is a fairly common place where ham radio operators go to look up the other operators that they have made contact with, because it will provide various information. If this was a person, then it would have the address right here of the individual, and it has other contact information. The Bristol Rhythm and Roots people, or the birthplace of country music people, have been awesome to work with as far as our special event goes, because they did give us permission to use their logos that you see here on the page. So the way this worked is was I applied online for the special event call sign. You do have to be a licensed ham to get the call sign, and that person is ultimately responsible for the operation of that. And I was granted permission to use W4B starting on September the 5th and ending on September the 18th. The goal of that was to operate a week before Rhythm and Roots happens, through the event, and then after. So we use the term special event. That doesn't necessarily mean that we set up and operate at the event. It would be impossible to set up somewhere downtown with all the music playing and operate ham radio. So for this event, we just operate from our personal ham radio stations, which I've put up a picture of mine. and several different operators in the Bristol area will actually operate this call sign in several different ways. We have in the past used W4B for special events in Bristol, like the sesquicentennial celebration or the 100th anniversary of the Bristol sign. During those events, operators actually took equipment and went to these locations and set up and operated from those. So that can happen. We use the same call sign. Other groups use this call sign throughout the year, such as Bonnaroo and whatnot. There's a few of them that use it. So I try to jump in there and get my application in as soon as possible to reserve the Rhythm and Roots week with this special call sign. So anytime I make a contact, or as we refer to it, I work another ham radio operator, they can look up this call sign and see who it is and what's going on. And this is the kind of information that we have put out there. If you're watching this video, during this time, you can click on this logo and actually go to the website and learn more about the Rhythm and Roots event itself. So basically it says right here what it is, when we're operating. This is the logo for the Bristol Amateur Radio Club. This is our group is the ones kind of getting together and doing this operating activity. And of course we have a picture of the Bristol sign, a picture of a crowd from a few years ago at Rhythm and Roots, and then our famous plaques that are lined down State Street. So they can come here and they get information about the event, not just about the ham radio operation that goes on with it. I'll give you a quick glimpse of me, who I am, and what I'm doing in my wrestling belt collection in the background. Pardon the mess. I also do laundry, and this is my office. So this screen that I've got, this popped up here, is I'm using a computer to kind of aid me in communications. Ham radio is not dependent upon the internet and not dependent upon computers at all. When I started as a kid 30 years ago, I used to log my contacts on a paper logbook that I bought from Radio Shack, and when I finally got a PC and got software to record all that, I actually transferred all that to the computer. There are many different ways to make contacts on ham radio. There's just like what you see in the movies. There's the microphone and the person talking with their voice to the other person on the other end. And there's actually multiple modes to do that with. Just like your car stereo has AM and FM, we have AM and FM. And we have other modes like is known as sideband, and it helps your signal travel a little bit further. What I'm using right now is one of our digital modes. We also use Morse code, so you can, without a computer, or you can have just a legal pad and writing down information and a keyer and a radio, and you can sit here and communicate back and forth with people. We still to this day use Morse code. You can also use a computer to aid you with it. We also have other modes we call digital modes that you do kind of have to have a computer to help you with, but again, you're not dependent upon the internet. And what you're seeing on the screen right now is one of those digital modes. It's more or less about making contacts and kind of racking up the score. In other words, getting as many countries as you can possibly get, as many states as you can possibly get, and then as many individual operators as you can possibly get. So all this stuff scrolling across the screen, the ones with the green lines, these are people calling for other stations to answer them and make a contact. The screen over here on the right, this is what I'm doing. This is what's going on wherever I'm monitoring. So we have a thing that we put. It's called CQ. We call CQ, and that's calling all amateurs, any amateurs, however you want to term that. We use a lot of these codes and abbreviations because, especially in this mode right here, you only get 17 characters per transmission, so you kind of have to limit that down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable the transmitter, and eventually you're going to see a yellow line pop over here. This is an adjacent channel right there. Yeah. So what I'm doing is I'm calling anybody and everybody that wants to make a contact with me. CQ, W4B, and then this EM86 is our geographical location. You can actually put that out a little bit further and pin it down to where I'm at in Bristol, Tennessee, and not just Bristol. And so this signal is going out over the airwaves, and at some point I'll get someone to come back to me, and we'll make a contact, and you can kind of see how that goes. The signal, as it goes out, it just makes a little screeching noise that our ears can't really interpret, but this computer can pick it up. That's what it sounds like. The awesome thing about digital modes is I don't have to sit here and listen to that noise the whole time. I like doing digital because I've got kids, and I don't have to worry about my background noise. So this right here, this red line, this is a guy coming back to us. His call sign is N0CFL, and he's located, his grid square, as they call it, is EN31. So I can take that information, kind of figure out where he's at. We also have goals of trying to work as many of these as we can. We can break it all the way down to pretty much the city and county that you live in, that we try to make contact everywhere. And then a couple more people are trying to come back to me here as well. Again, these special event stations are very popular. Once you start throwing that call sign out and people see it, they're going to pile in and want to make contact with it. What that does for the event, the Rhythm and Roots folks, that's it's just another way of putting the word out there, and we're putting it out all over the world. This fellow right here, I can look up in a minute and tell you probably where he's from. The 0 call means he's probably in the Northeast United States. The VE, that's Canadian stations. I have at this point made contact with roughly 20 countries. I'll pull those stats up and let you look at them. Okay, I'm back. I actually had to pause the video and knock out a few contacts in the interest of time, rather than keep the video running during all those contacts. And it took me about 4 or 5 minutes to go through a few contacts. I made contacts with 3 different states and a province in Canada during that off period. So what I have on the screen right here now, this is a computerized display of my radio. It's connected to my radio, and I can actually I can control everything on the radio itself, or I can put it up here on the computer screen and control it, or use it for demonstration purposes like this. So this is a frequency that I'm on. It's on the 20 meter band, or 14 megahertz, and I'm going to do some voice communication with this. I'm going to try to get some contacts for this special event station. Like I said, it's kind of like being Elvis and trying to sign autographs. Once you throw it out there, it's hard to get clear of it. When I threw the call sign out over on the digital modes, people just kept coming back. I finally found a gap in those communications and was able to switch over here. But it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy making all the contacts. Okay, what I'm getting ready to do is start calling CQ, which is calling all amateurs. I'll make sure that I have a clear channel, and hopefully we'll get somebody coming back to us. It's a little more challenging sometimes with the voice communications, depending on the bands. One of the cool things, again, we're not internet dependent by any means, but we do use it as a tool. So as folks hear me on the air, I can do this myself. We'll spot each other, and there's websites we can go to and see where people are at, and find these special event stations in these special countries that we're trying to communicate with. So you may hear the staticky noise in the background. I'm going to turn that up so you can hear the other side of the conversation should someone come back to me. CQ20, special event, Whiskey 4 Bravo, Whiskey 4 Bravo, calling CQ. CQ20, special event, Whiskey 4 Bravo, Whiskey 4 Bravo, calling CQ20. Alpha India 7 station. Roger, this is Whiskey 4 Bravo. Did I copy Alpha 7 India, or I'm sorry, Alpha India 7 India? Alpha India 7 Romeo, is that correct? Yeah, Roger, signal's coming up a little bit there. Alpha India 7 Romeo, I've got you 5959, over. Yeah, Roger that. Copy Arizona. I'm located in Bristol, Tennessee, running a special event station Whiskey 4 Bravo for Rhythm and Roots Reunion. My call sign operator is November 4 November Tango. Yeah, Roger that. Thank you for the contact. And 7-3, this is Whiskey 4 Bravo. Okay, I actually had to stop the video there for a minute again because once I put that out there, people started coming back to me left and right. So what I put up on the screen here for you is this is my logging program. When I was a young ham operator, I used to do this all on paper and record all this this information. And nowadays we have these computer programs that allow us to not only record this information, but it'll also produce computer-generated stats for us, that kind of thing. And I'm going to show you all that too real quick while we're here. This is, if you look at the lower right-hand corner, the date and time, these are the W4B special event station stats up till this point in time. So what I've done is right here in this box, if you see my cursor, I tried to make it where you could see it really well. I've typed this gentleman's call sign in. It was AI7R. This thing has told me I've never talked to this guy before. It flags it up here and says that it's new. It automatically populates the date. It'll automatically populate a lot of information because it's connected to my radio too. It's really neat the way it works. A very streamlined process. Puts in the date. It puts in the time. Now the time is that we use universal time, UTC, as you can see right here. You've got Eastern time and then UTC. So we use the time at the center of the earth. Everybody universally on ham radio uses that. That way we're always on the same time. If I made this contact a little later in the night, I would actually be sitting here on September the 8th, and it would show September the 9th because of the international date line and whatnot. So it looks up this gentleman's information for me because I'm going to send him a postcard later, and I can actually use this program to generate labels and whatnot. It shows me how far away from my location that he is and gives me some other information. When I type in his call sign, this little pop-up window right here will pop up. Not all programs have it, and you kind of have to have a subscription to a service to use it, but I like it because it pops up a picture, and I can actually click on this and go to the website and see his information just like he can do the W4B station. All right, I'm gonna get that out of the way. So I made the contact with this gentleman, and like I said, I had 4 or 5 more people pile in afterwards. I'm gonna log that contact just to show you, give you an idea of what happens. So I'm gonna type in our W4B and hit tab, and this is what. So if anybody has this program, this is what they see. It's going to pop up as they're communicating with us. The digital modes that I was doing a minute ago actually integrates with this. I don't even have to type anything. It picks it all up from the program and just kind of throws it in there. So as I'm sitting there, I'm seeing this over on another monitor, and these little pictures and whatnot are popping up, and a lot of other folks use that same type stuff. So let me clear that out. And lastly, I'm going to just kind of show you where we're at right now, stat-wise, and as far as our contacts. This right here is we're up to 341 contacts. I knew we were pushing 400. Now there are other operators operating this also. And what they will do is they'll make a log just like this, and they email it to me, and I keep the main central log for this. That way, I make sure that everybody gets corresponded with a postcard and whatnot. And I can click on this little tab up here. This right here just shows me everything we've done. So we've worked, made contact with 38 different states. Tells us which states we got remaining. Hawaii was on the air the other night, and I just couldn't make it connect, but I'm sure I'll get them eventually. How many continents we've worked. This right here is just another designation we use in ham radio. Counties in the United States. We've got 77 so far out of 3,000. Countries. We're up to 26 different foreign countries now that have made contact, and they have at some way, shape, or form looked up W4B, and they saw the Bristol Rhythm and Roots Reunion links and information about it. As we go through this hobby or whatnot, that's one of the most interesting things for me about it is I I may be making quick contacts with these people with like very little personal interaction, just enough to say I made the contact, but at the same time, I get information about them and can kind of learn a lot of different things, especially a lot of these countries I've made contact with about them. And the same thing with events. There's other events going on. There was a radio event in Alabama. They're doing the same thing we're doing with one of those special call signs, and we actually made contact with each other. One more thing, too, just I said we send out paper postcards, and we do that if folks request them. I don't always send those because I don't want to just go to the expense and the time and trouble of sending somebody something they're just going to chuck in the trash can. But everybody gets an electronic postcard, and that's what a lot of folks have went to this day and age. But for special events, I like having the paper card. I'll display them on the wall. There's little display folders type things that you can get. But everybody gets an electronic card, and occasionally they send some back to us as well. Since we started this event a couple of days ago, out of the 300 and some contacts, we've had about 50 people send us their electronic card back. We don't ask for those because necessarily because we don't do anything with them, but every one of them will get a card, and I'll show you what that looks like in comparison to the paper cards, which actually, for those that with Rhythm and Roots that are watching this, I bring a few of the blank paper cards by. So they get one that looks just like the paper card itself. Down here at the bottom, all this information is ham radio contact information that we send. It's usually in English, but the demo copy from this website's in another language. This changes with each contact, basically. But this upper portion here, every person gets, and again, it has your website and all that on there. But it is it's kind of a fun thing that we do on our end. I've been a ham radio operator now since 1992, and I've made a contact with every state in the United States, a whole lot of countries, that kind of thing. So it's kind of like going out fishing in a pond where thousands of people have already been fishing and there's not many fish left, or going hunting and all the bears have already been shot. The contacts are fewer and farther between as far as getting something new. So what this event does for folks like me is I get to start out at zero and try to work all 50 states again and as many countries as I can get. And we reset this every year. And our goal is to just pile in as many of those stats and as many contacts as we possibly can. And I get a lot of correspondence back about interest in the event, or I've even had people had a guy from Maine send me an email. It's like, hey, I've been to that event before, and it's really awesome to get this postcard and make this contact. So again, it's just as the ham radio operators in the Bristol community and the Bristol Amateur Radio Club, it is just another way for us to promote our community, and through a good event like this that's very much radio related with the music and the radio station that they have, and we just thoroughly enjoy doing it. So if you have any questions or anything, my email is provided on the YouTube channel and at the start of the video. But other than that, this is N4NT signing off.